Hello YouTube, this is Neon. Today the title of my talk is going to be Something I Learned About Friendship. So I'm going to start off with telling you a story that happened between myself and my friend, what I learned from that story, and then give you a little bit of the background of our friendship. But first off, I want to say Happy Thanksgiving, or Happy Belated Thanksgiving, depending on when you might watch this video. And I also want to do a shout out to Kazoe, my newest subscriber. So, story. A friend of mine had called me out of the blue to let me know that he was homeless, living on the street. I was pretty shocked, and I immediately said, "You can come and stay with me till you get back on your feet." Didn't even have to think twice about it. He told me, "Well, I have 3 dogs, and my dogs are very attached to me, and they're kind of like children, and I can't let them go. My place having 1 pet is out of the question. It's a very old building. It's against the rules. And this very old building, you can hear through the walls. You can hear people making love. You can hear people walking up and down. I mean, you can hear everything. So you would hear the dog's feet scampering. You'd hear any bark, any whimper when I kicked them to get them out my way. Just joking. I would never kick a dog. But my neighbors would hear, and they will complain because my building's a quiet building. So we knew he couldn't bring his dogs here. So I told him, of course, why don't you put your dogs in an animal shelter and just come and stay with me till you get back on your feet. And again, that was his answer. No, I can't get rid of them. They're very attached to me. They're like my children. So I kind of said, well, okay. And I just accepted that he's going to do what he sees best for his life, and I'm going to honor that. So sometime later, while on the street with his 3 dogs, he had a minor heart attack, I think was the condition. And he was hospitalized, and of course, his dogs had to be put in dog shelters, in I guess ASPCA. I don't know what that acronym stands for. It's a long acronym. ASPCA. So his 3 dogs were put in, actually I think in different shelters. And he eventually did get out of the hospital. He, at that, sometime after, was able to buy a van. I feel the need to let you know that his another reason he stayed on the street was that he was clean and sober, has been clean and sober for some time, and wanted to continue to go to his 12-step groups, because being homeless obviously can make a person tempted to want to do drugs so that they can alleviate the pain of being homeless. So he wanted to stay where he was at homeless, because he could go to his 12-step groups where he was comfortable and knew lots of people. Anyway, when he got out, he got his van. He had tracked down his dogs. He was able to get back one of his dogs by he had a friend go and pretend to adopt the dog, right? Because they would not give him the dog back unless he paid all of the day's fees for housing the dog, which was beyond what he could afford. However, he could afford the adoption fee, and he gave his friend the adoption fee. His friend adopted one of the dogs. And this was not, I was not for this, because at this time he was still living in a van. Taking into account that he took very good care of his dogs. He walked them, he fed them, he even took them to the free vet. So he took very good care of his dogs, regardless of what I thought. So he called me up in an effort to get his 2nd dog back. Again, I was against this, but he's my friend. He wasn't doing anything that was going to kill anybody. So I said, okay, I'll do it. I did not know how this even worked. I've never adopted a dog before. And I put down that I lived in an apartment building, and they were like, well, can your apartment, can you have pets? And I was like, yeah, we can. Of course we couldn't. And they said, we can't give you the dog until we call your manager and verify that you can have dogs. And unfortunately, I'm not a good liar. I didn't think, well, just give them my friend's phone number, and I'll tell my friend who to expect a call from, and just tell them you're my manager, and obviously you won't get your dog back. I didn't think of any of that. I actually put down my number. I had no idea they were going to question me on this stuff. So they called the manager, who said, no, you're not allowed to have, nobody can have pets here. And so they called me and said, you can't have the dog. So I kind of messed all of that up. It was funny too, because I'm kind of friends with the manager, and I'm sure that if I had explained the situation, the manager would have been willing to lie for me, because the dog would never have come to this building anyway. And I would have let him know that it's just me helping my friend to get his dog back. However, the manager was on vacation. So someone else was the temporary manager, and that person didn't even speak English. I could barely even find out, why do you have the manager's phone? And eventually I understood, oh, that's his work phone, and you got his phone because his phone's on, because he's on vacation. So it didn't work out, but I was really happy that I was willing to do that. And the reason that I was happy is because when a friend is down, it's not my place to try to tell them what they're supposed to be doing with their life. It's not my place to judge them and find reasons to blame them for their situation, no matter how bad their situation is. It's not my place to try to give them advice and then make them take my advice. And then if they don't take my advice, now I can judge them. I can castigate them and tell them, you're in that situation because you won't take my advice. I did offer him to move in with me once. He said no. I did tell him, put the dogs in a dog shelter once. He said no. And when he got his van, he was living in his van. I had really thought it was not a good idea for him to try to get the second dog and then the third dog. But I still was willing to help him because it's his life. That's what friends are for. Friendship is an action word. Friendship doesn't kick someone when they're down. A little bit about our background is he saved my life. I wouldn't have this place if it wasn't for him. He was in a really bad place, and I was in a really bad place psychologically. I was about to go back on the streets. I was about to go to live on the streets because my mental health was so bad from all this stuff I was going through. No, I was not using drugs. No, I was not drinking. But there was some stuff I was going through, and my mental health was really bad. And I just thought that God was telling me I needed to go to Santa Monica and just be homeless on the beach. That's what I thought God was telling me. And He talked to me. I lost my job at this time. And I was on SSI, but I was getting no SSI because I was just living independently. And He let me know that you probably can go down to Social Security and have them to reinstate your Social Security immediately. So we need to try that. There's no need for you to go back on this, to go live on the street. And that all did work out well. He had to fill out. Initially, I was so convinced that my SSI was done for that we decided to apply for GR and food stamps, which I really didn't qualify for because even though I wasn't receiving SSI, that program hadn't ended for me, which I didn't know. I thought it had ended. But he filled out all the paperwork for the food stamps, for the GR, and I only received it for like 1 or 2 months. But I couldn't even fill out the paperwork. I couldn't even think straight. He went down with me to SSI. He convinced me we need to go down there and at least try. And then come to find out my SSI just needed to be reinstated. And I kept my place. I paid my rent late. That was once in 7 years. I've been here going on 7 years. And so he's been a blessing for me. And I'm glad that I could pay him back by not judging him, by not kicking him when he's down. If I was to say, well, you didn't pay your rent because you misspent your money, and now you're living on the street because you won't get rid of these dogs, and you could stay with me, but instead you're just choosing to live on the street, I would be kicking him when he's down. And I would never want to call it that because that would make me look bad. I would say, no, I'm trying to help him and he doesn't want my help because he's just dumb and he deserves to live on the street because dumb people deserve to live on the street. There's no reason to treat a friend like that. That is not a friend. That's not an act of friendship. Friendship isn't a word. Friendship is behavior. It's actions. So I didn't do that, you know. I gave him a suggestion once. He didn't accept them. I let it go. I let him decide what he wanted to do with this problem. And then I said, okay, well, what do you want to do? And to the extent that I can help you, I will. You know, he wanted to get his dog back. He wanted to live in his van. He ultimately only got back one of his dogs, which he decided was enough. He didn't live in the van that long. He did get a room with someone. That person does allow his dog to live there. So things worked out quite well for him, and I'm really glad that I let him decide. Excuse me. He was, you know, he may have made some wrong decisions about getting the dogs back, but nature and the universe and his circumstances let him know that really one dog was enough. He knew he was going to be able to get a place. He must have known this in his heart. He did. He got back on his feet. He still has his van months and months later. So he knew what was best for him. And I just put myself out there to say, if I can help you, let me know, and I will. And even when I didn't agree with him, I didn't agree with him that he should get another dog. I did my best to help him. I knew that the dog would be taken care of, you know. I didn't get the dog back for him, but I tried. That's what a friend is. A friend helps another friend, even when that friend doesn't agree with what the other friend is trying to do. If I know that what that person's trying to do isn't going to kill anybody, isn't going to kill themselves, isn't breaking any serious law, isn't going to produce serious injury, why not let him live his life? Why not try to be helpful? It makes no sense. And so I learned to let friends decide their destiny and help them. Help them. Don't become resentful and judgmental because they're doing something with their lives that I don't agree with. But rather help them if I can. And if I can isn't, well, I don't agree that you should be getting that dog, so I'm not going to help you. That's not can't. That's you're not doing what I want you to do, so now I'm not going to help you. Now, if it was, let's rob a store because I'm broke, then I wouldn't help him. Because I'm not trying to go to jail. I don't like Boris. Unless it's a Snickers. Then it's a good boy. But I don't like jail bars. Because they don't taste like chocolate. So, I learned a lot about that, and I was glad to be able to put a lot of that into practice. I'm not perfect. There's times where I may be judgmental and all of these ugly things in the future, but I'm learning that I can put some of these things into practice as far as what friendship is. Now, prior to preparing to this talk, I've had Lucy and Ethel's rendition of friendship. It's friendship, friendship, just the perfect blendship. When all of the friendship had been forgot, doom, doom, yours and mine will still be hot. La 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 la. And I'm like, why do I have this damn song in my head non-stop? Lucille Baldwin come back from the grave to haunt me. I thought she was a nice person. So I'm hoping that now that this little talk about what I learned about friendship is over with, that dang song will get out of my head. Sorry for that rendition, by the way, for you people that didn't like it. If you do like this video, please like, subscribe to my channel, share this video, recommend this video to your friends, make a comment, watch a commercial, do one or more of those things. Thank you. Best wishes.